Hello and welcome to Letters Home, a story of a World War II B-17 pilot from Lowell, Michigan, in his own words, and he just so happens to be my grandpa. I'm your host, Annie Whitlock, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, my dad, Mitch McMahon, my aunt, Lori McMahon Summerfield, and Dale Croft from the Lowell Historical Museum.
In each episode of Letters Home, we're going to dive into letters written by my dad during his time in World War II that he sent to his parents, siblings, and friends back home in Lowell, Michigan. We'll be reading his own words and giving some context as to what was happening in the world and in Lowell at the time that he wrote these.
In this episode, Dad is having bitters and visiting places in England before he heads back to the U.S. We also learn about the GI Bill and read about Dad's final missions.
That's right. We're back. We haven't been here in a while. But we took a little break. Thanks for hanging in with us. We took a break to work, relax, recover, take a little mini summer break. And after our D-Day episode, we thought it was a good time to do that. So last time you heard from us, we were reading Bruce's letters about his experiences flying missions on D-Day. And the last letter that we wrote was from June 9th, 1944. And that was in our last episode. And the next one we have from Bruce in the stash is from June 24th, 1944. So he was perhaps too busy to write during this time. I don't know what he was up to, but this June 24th letter is a pretty big one, momentous one, in his own words.
June 24th, 1944. Dear Mom and Dad, this is the letter you've been waiting for about 11 months. Your son is off combat. Yep, they finally retired me, and I'll admit that I'm not sorry. However, the biggest relief to me is the fact that I can tell it to you and know that you can cease to worry now. I made quite a few more missions than my tour, but I was too glad as they were missions that helped the boys over on those beaches. Now, you may wonder how long it will take before we can sit down at the kitchen table together and talk it all over. That is a question that I cannot answer. It's possible that they might send me home, but I'm not planning on it at all. My work is of such a nature that it is a full-time job even without the raids. Don't have this printed in the paper because I'm only supposed to tell you, meaning my immediate family. In the next few days, I'll probably know more about what's going to develop, and as soon as I know for sure, I'll let you know. This is a darn short letter. Isn't it even such? But the good news should make up for its brevity. I'll try to find time tomorrow to write you a good one. God bless you, and he surely will for all the prayers you have brought me through this ordeal. Your loving and grateful son, Bruce.
Yay!
Yeah.
Hey, off combat.
The good news is finally here. So Bruce has been relieved of his combat duties. Now, he doesn't know at this point what that means. Like, he knows he's not going to go on any more missions, but maybe he's still thinking he's going to be in England doing other work. There's plenty of other things to do. But we know from his letters that he will actually be on his way back to Lowell very shortly after this.
Spoiler alert.
I know. Well, we'll see. We got more to go. So his time in England is limited, perhaps, and so he and his buddy, Major Odell, decided to do some sightseeing and relaxing, in his own words.
June 25th, 1944. Dear Mom and Dad, I took a ride on my bike after supper tonight and took some more snaps. I sure hope they'll turn out well. There's an old Dutch mill not far from here, and we, Major and I, went out there to get it in the background of some of our shots. There are several of those windmills around there, but this one has all its arms. Some of the rest have been out of use so long that the huge arms are now off. It was real pleasant riding down the quaint English countryside, and the sun was out for a change, which made the red brick houses stand out in bold relief from the green of the hills and swales. Actually, this is a very green country. The area around the fields are green, and when it gets summer, the color intensifies until it predominates all the rest. In its own way, the English country is quite beautiful. On the way back, we stopped into an inn and had a half pint of bitters. That's beer, in case you didn't recognize it. The bitters means the taste of the beer. The proverbial mild and bitter means a half pint of each mixed in glass. We sat and talked with the innkeeper for a while and sort of soaked up the antique atmosphere. He was telling us all about the knights and the dukes around these parts. Although they no longer hold any great power over the people, they are still quite a figure in the average Britisher's life. It seems that all these people cling as much as they can to the old way of life, and that really means old. If you could see how backward they are in so many ways, you'd understand what I mean. One thing I just thought of is that there are no pure food laws in this country. If a place is dirty, and that isn't so nice, but It's a couple of centuries old. It's more than makes up for any discrepancies in the sanitation. Why, the Duke of Sussex used to drink his bitters right out of that very chair you're sitting in, etc., etc. As we pedaled down the road, the sun was getting low in the west, and guess what our conversation was about? That's right. And I'll bet just about guess what you were doing. By the time it would have been about 4 in the afternoon, and I said that you were out in the hammock. Dad and you, Mom, were in on the lounge. Maybe some of the kids were up, and Veda was there with her family. Vern's picture of Margaret arrived this afternoon, and is a swell one. Where was it taken? I can't seem to place the background, and there being swings there had me completely baffled. Was it at a park? Marion's box of candy and cookies were nice and soft, and the candy was just right. After you receive this letter, don't send me any more boxes until I know where I'm going to be in the next few months. If boxes come straight through, they are swell, but if they have to hunt you, they get messed up a bit. Think maybe I'll get some sleep now, so good night, my dearest Mom, Mother, and Dad. Your loving son, Bruce.
Aww. Well, we have this picture of Margaret on the swings. I think, is it hanging in your house, Aunt Lori? With that collage?
Yeah, I might throw a little winger into that. I'm not exactly sure that's the picture because the picture that's there in the house that's in that collage, I remember Mom saying to me she had just had Marty in that picture.
Oh, okay.
So she said, I just had Marty, and I was like, I needed to sit down.
Oh.
Something like that. And I was like, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. I don't know. As I'm remembering, and that, not my.
Well, we have a cute picture.
Yes, we do, of her on a swing.
Grandma Maggie on a swing from around this time. So yeah, when I read that, I just assumed that's the one. We'll post it in.
And it
anyway.
could be that one, and I could be mistaken.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely post it on Instagram, YouTube, in our primary source documents on the Lowell Historical Museum website. And we don't actually know if this is the picture, but any guesses as to where it was taken? Richards Park, maybe? Was that a thing?
Yeah, I'm going to guess.
Yes, it was.
I'm going to guess that it was that.
I mean, I would think, because that would have been near
their house.
Yeah.
By the house. Yeah, I agree.
I was taking my kids there last Sunday.
There you go. Yeah.
I also think it's funny that Bruce wrote about the Duke of Sussex sitting in the chair he was sitting in. Nice accent. Dad, I love it. Because now, today, the Duke of Sussex is Prince Harry.
Of course it is. Oh, right.
I don't know if he's going back to sit in that chair anytime soon, but that's the current Duke of Sussex.
The Duke of Sussex used to drink bitters, right? I love that. Yeah, it was pretty good. And that's interesting that he has that kind of that perspective on it. Yeah.
He's like, it's all dirty in there, but they don't care because this is like, this is centuries old and someone 100 years ago sat in it.
That makes it good. Yeah.
Yeah, he always comments on like how they like the old things and they, it's just a different culture, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, now it's time to get into our segment where we talk about what was going on in the world and in Lowell in late June and July 1944. So first of all, on June 22nd, 1944, the Lowell Ledger published Bruce's letter that describes his account of D-Day. We read this in our last episode. It was right on the front page there, but it was a couple weeks later. And there's a smaller blurb next to it that says that Bruce earned a cluster for his air medal for meritorious achievement during 5 bombardment missions over Germany and German-occupied Europe. So we've seen the air medal, but what is a cluster for the air medal? Dale, can you tell us what a cluster is?
Well, the air medal was established by Executive Order 9158, signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt on May 11, 1942. Artist Walter Hancock designed the award, which Secretary of War Henry Simpson approved on December 31st, 1942. And as you stated earlier, it was for a single incidence of heroic and meritorious achievement while participating in aerial flight. The medal itself is a bronze compass rose of 16 points with a fleur-de-lis design on the top point. In the center is an American eagle swooping down and clutching lightning bolts in its talons.
Ooh, cool.
The reverse has a raised disc where the recipient's name and rank could be engraved. It is attached to a ribbon that has a broad stripe of ultramarine blue in the center, flanked by wide stripes of golden orange, with a narrow strip of ultramarine blue at the edge. These were the Army Corps' original colors. An air medal cluster is an oak leaf cluster, and it looks like a miniature bronze or silver twig with 4 oak leaves and 3 acorns worn on the air medal ribbon to signify future awards of the medal. In the U.S. Air Force, bronze oak leaf clusters were added to the ribbon for each air medal awarded, and a silver oak leaf clusters are awarded for every 5 bronze ones.
Oh, okay.
The Air Medal was first issued during the darkest days of the 8th Air Force strategic bombing campaign from England from 1942 to July 1945. During this time, the 8th suffered approximately 47,483 casualties, including more than 26,000 dead.
Wow.
This accounted for half of the Army Air Force's total casualties. By the war's end, 442,000 air medals were awarded to the men of the 8th.
Wow. Okay.
So Bruce had 5 clusters, right?
Okay.
He had the ribbon and he had 4 bronze. So to me, that would be, when I read this, what does it say? You add the ribbon for every 5 bronze ones. All bronze ones. So maybe he had to have 1 more bronze. He had 4 bronze. So he actually had 5 clusters because he got the medal for the first one.
Okay.
And then they got 4 bronze clusters.
All right. Wow.
So-
Do we have that?
So
We have the air medal.
He's got the air medal and he's got the 4 bronze clusters on his ribbon.
Oh, he does. Okay. Let's go back and look at that.
So that's 5. So I don't know if he should have got a silver. I mean, according to what I read here.
All
But
right. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
That's cool.
Now, the other thing that was interesting in different war areas, like over in Africa or the Mediterranean, the air medals were awarded differently than over Europe. Europe was a little easier to get air medals than it was over the Mediterranean and Africa. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, well, he got one for 5 missions apparently. So I don't know if that means he got 5 clusters or he got one that sort of represents flying 5 different missions. But if you remember, leading up to D-Day, they were really ramping up the number of missions they were flying to prepare for the invasion.
Right.
So, so for sure, he was on those. I also learned, looking through the ledger around this time, that Bruce was not the only soldier from Lowell that was at the D-Day invasion. So we know that there's people from Lowell all over in the war doing a variety of different things, but there were actually, at least that I could find, 2 other men in Normandy at the time. There was a man named Bob Yiter. He was a paratrooper, and he was hit but survived. And another man named Herb Reynolds, who was in charge of the ambulances and first aid on the Normandy front during the invasion and after. So anyone know these guys?
Well,
Yiter's a
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Herb Reynolds was one of the signatures under the stage in the Strand Theater that we talked about
Oh, really? Okay, I
way
forgot about
earlier in our early episodes.
that. Okay, yeah.
He was
well,
part of it.
Reynolds and that wasn't the clothing store too, right?
Yeah.
There's a clothing store.
Well, because Ed's name, that's Marion's last name too, right?
Right.
So I don't know if they were related.
What's Betty Yiter's husband's name? What was Betty Yiter's husband's name?
I don't know.
It wasn't Bob, but I wonder if it was
Okay. Figure
it must
that
be a
out.
relation, so we'll have to look that up.
But either way, we went down to these 2 guys too, because it wasn't just Bruce that was at D-Day. There were 2 other Lowell people represented in this massive battle. So at least that I could find. There might be more. So if listeners are like, no, wait, you forgot one, let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Was Betty's husband Don?
Don Yiter.
That's it.
Don.
It's Don.
Yep.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
Good.
Maybe
Good.
Bob
Good.
was a brother or something.
Good job, Mitch.
Yeah. All right. Well, also in the world during this time, the invasion went according to plan, but the Allies are still fighting a big battle in Normandy on their way to liberate France and Berlin later on. So, I think I was talking to somebody about this the other day. We always think about like D-Day as that initial like storming of the beach, and we forget like there was like a whole battle in the town after. Like you have to go places after. You have to fight your way through.
Yeah, you can't.
After.
It doesn't just stop there.
No,
Yeah.
so they were in Normandy for the town of Normandy for a long time. But this is starting to speak the end of the Axis powers. And actually, I found this interesting fact that I didn't know. On July 20th, 1944, a high-ranking officer in the German army attempted to assassinate Hitler by hiding a bomb in his briefcase.
Right, yeah, it was
In the
Tom
headquarters?
Cruise, I think.
As Mission Impossible. Yeah. Well, the idea was that obviously the bomb.
Valkyrie, wasn't that the movie that?
Oh, I don't remember. Was it?
Yeah,
I never saw that movie.
It was the story of the assassination attempt,
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that because I didn't even know this.
starring Tom Cruise.
Oh, you didn't know? You didn't know about the
No.
briefcase assassination?
No, I didn't. I mean, I knew that
Oh,
there were
that's
different
huge.
people attempted to assassinate him
Yeah.
along the way, but yeah, this was a big one because
Yeah.
Hitler was actually injured in this, not killed, but injured. And from what I read, he was like saying that this was a sign that he was going to win the war because he survived this bombing. And then, of course, the conspirators were caught and did not live to see the end of the week.
Yeah, didn't survive that.
No, they did not. But I've never seen Valkyrie. I'm gonna have to. All right, put it on the list, Annie, of all the movies this podcast has had me watch.
That's at least a modern one.
I know. I was gonna say at least it probably doesn't have tap dancing in it. So there we go. Well, I guess I don't know. In better news, though, in June 1944, President Roosevelt signed the GI Bill into law. And Dale, what can you tell us about the GI Bill?
The GI Bill was signed into law by President Franklin D. Roosevelt on June 22, 1944. The GI Bill, officially known as the Surfacemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, was a landmark piece of legislation in the United States that provided a range of benefits to the returning World War II veterans. The most well-known aspect of the GI Bill was its provision for educational benefits, allowing millions of veterans to pursue higher education at universities, colleges, and vocational schools by providing financial support for tuition, fees, and living expenses while veterans were in school. The bill also offered low-interest loans to veterans to purchase homes, farms, or start businesses, and were eligible for unemployment benefits for a year while they readjusted to civilian life and sought employment. The GI Bill played a significant role in the post-war economic expansion of helping veterans enter the workforce and contributing to the growth of the middle class. While the original bill expired in 1956, it served as a model for future legislation providing benefits to veterans of later conflicts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I wanted to think about this because this is getting into after war stuff, which we will talk about, I think, here. But Grandpa did start several businesses afterwards. You know, he bought the Lena Lou. We did talk about that. And you'll see, and we read some of the last letters in our pile. He starts to think about what is he going to do after this.
Yeah.
What's he going to do when he gets back? And so, yeah, I wonder, he must have probably taken advantage of the GI Bill in some cases. I don't know if he went back to school right away or tried to, or maybe not. I don't know.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
A footnote to put in here, back to Betty Yeater and Don Yeater. Robert Yeater was not a sibling there, but he is there. I find a grave. Thank you. Find a grave. He was from Alto, so maybe some relation, but it has his siblings listed, but not Don Yeater. He died in 1989, so he was 72 or 73,
All right,
so he
Bob.
must have made it back and
Yeah.
did okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Bob
Yeah, just
Nader from
FYI.
Alto was
Yeah.
there at D-Day.
Yeah, there we go. All
That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah. Back to that. All right.
Well, we're at our segment now where we
GI Bill.
reveal information we know about Bruce's flight missions. For this information, we have to consult flight records and mission diaries from the historical website of the 306 Bomb Group and all of its squadrons. And this is the last time we're going to be doing this segment since Bruce is officially off combat duty. So, yay. He flew 4 missions in the 10 days after D-Day, all to France. And I'm going to say all their names. My apologies to Mrs. Baird, my French teacher from Lowell High School. St. Andrew de Lourdes, to Lille, to Brittany, and to Nantes. And we're going to read about 2 of those missions only. So, yeah, we were having to brush up on our French pronunciations. I hope I did okay. First up is from June 12th, 1944.
Lille, Vandeville, Cambria, Epinois. 4 groups of 12 aircraft each, plus 4 spares, were flown by the 306th as the 40th B CBW and the 40th C CBW's lead group. Captain J. Bruce McMahon led the 368th High Group in the 40th B, with Lieutenants Leland Deck, William Reese, Elton Rabe, Edward Patton, and Wayne H. Irwin in the lead squadron. Very accurate. Tracking and barrage flak was met at Antwerp and area to the southwest on approaching the target. Over the target, the 368th met moderate and accurate AA fire, which hit every aircraft 5 severely. Bombing was good, while the 358th High Group had to make 3 runs over the target due to clouds.
Sounds like another close call with all aircraft getting hit at some point.
Yeah.
But the bombing was good. So I believe this was Bruce's last mission as a pilot, from what I can tell, which he flew with Major Odell as his co-pilot. And on June 14th and 15th, he flew missions as a co-pilot for Major Salata and for First Lieutenant named Devac. June 15th, the mission to Nantes was most likely his final mission. At least it's the last one that I can see on the website there. So we have to read that one, of course.
Nantes. The 306th flew 54 aircraft as the complete 40th A CBW of 3 groups of 12 ships each, and 18 aircraft of the 40th D CBW, 12 aircraft in the low group and 6 in the high composite group. Bombing was by groups, and the MPIs were 2 railway bridges on the southern side of the city. Strike photos show good hits on both targets. The 368th flew as the low group, 40th D, with Captain J. Bruce McMahon leading. Lieutenant Hutzel returned early over Northampton with a runaway prop. Lieutenant Patton, due to an oxygen leak, turned back over the channel. Lieutenant Oberhelman was over the target but returned to his bombs when the bomb bay doors would not open. The 368th received a predicted concentration of AA fire, about 36 bursts at the target. 3 aircraft were slightly damaged.
So that's it. That's the last one, we think, the last mission. And we do have the photos of Nantes. At least they were in Bruce's scrapbook, so I'm assuming they're from this mission. But after that, there aren't any more records of Bruce's name appearing in any of the mission reports. I kind of scrolled through, and he only appears one more time in the combat diary in an entry from June 30th, 1944, and it says, Captains Russell Lund, J. Bruce McMahon, Jack Samway, and First Lieutenants Dewey O. Jones and George Tapper headed for the 12th RCD and home. Oh, it's the last one. So Samway, if you remember, was Bruce's navigator. He's talked about him a bunch. So they went home at the same time.
Whenever you say Samway, I always think of The Hobbit. Samwise.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know.
Okay,
but yeah, so we'll share the scrapbook photo of Nantes on our usual places, and you can see photos from Bruce's last mission. An end of an era. All right. I should go back and count to see if we found all 38. I wasn't sure we would because, there's 81-year-old records, so I wasn't sure if we would find all 38 missions he flew, but we probably came close to talking about almost all 38 of these, or at least referencing them, so I'll go back and check. Well, Bruce might be off combat duty as of the end of June 1944, but he still has to make his way back to Lowell, which takes a while. We're going to read 3 letters now from the first half of July 1944, where Bruce is making plans to get back over to the States. The first one is from July 5th, 1944, in his own words.
July 5th, 1944. Dear Mom and Dad, it's been over a week since I've written to you, and I sure hope you haven't been worried. I'm not at my old group anymore, and as I've written before, I'm off combat flying now. It's impossible to tell you anything about my setup at this time. But I should be eating some of your cooking before long. Before long is pretty indefinite. I know, but it's the most I can say. If I sent you a cablegram, I'd be allowed to say, finished missions. We'll be seeing you soon. So you just have to make your own interpretations of soon. I'm having my mail forwarded home, so you should be receiving some of it before long. Just keep it for me, and I'll pick it up there. Needless to say, I'm feeling swell, and who wouldn't after he's completed his work in the job I was in? Roger's been writing to me very often. I only have a few minutes to do this in. I guess I'll drop him a line. So long for now. God bless you, and I'll be seeing you soon. Your loving son, Bruce. P.S. Don't write to me.
He's getting closer to coming home if he's saying not to write.
I know.
He's saying, don't write to me.
I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I know. Like, yay. Well, he wrote to his parents 10 days later with an update. So it's taking a little while. In his own words.
July 15th, 1944. Dear Mom and Dad, gosh, I hope you haven't been worried about me. I haven't written in quite a while, and I hope you don't think anything is wrong. This place I'm in is getting on my nerves because I have nothing, absolutely nothing to do except eat and sleep. That's quite a change from my activities of the last year. This will be the last letter I'll write to you until I see you again. If I were to come into Chicago again, like last July, do you think you could meet me there? Now, it isn't at all necessary, and on second thought, I'll meet you in Grand Rapids. I'll wire or call you and tell you whether I'll be at the airport or one of the rail stations, so you can plan on driving into the city to pick me up. I'll make a list of those I want waiting for me. Mom, Dad, Sis, Ed and the kids, Veda and the kids, Bern, Helen and the kids, and possibly Aunt Lizzie, so I can tell her straight off about Belle. Now, isn't that a list? Of course, I'm only kidding. If gas is hard to get, I can stay on the train or take a bus. I've not mentioned my future wife because I don't know whether she'll be down from Canada in time or not. I just haven't dared tell her too positively about my coming because I was afraid something might happen. However, now I'm fairly sure, so I'm sending you this. If everything goes okay, I'll have some time to rest at home, maybe about 29 days, I hope, and then I'll be kept in the States. So I'll sign off now. God bless you. Your loving and impatient son, Bruce.
Not your loving and grateful son.
No.
We replaced it with impatient. I mean, I had to laugh at this. Wasn't he talking in a previous letter about how he wanted to just loaf when he was done and not do anything? And now here he is, nothing to do but eat and sleep. And he's like, it's driving me crazy.
And I love how you said jinx it because he was pretty superstitious.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Because
Oh, really?
I read that through
yeah.
this whole letter. He doesn't want to tell his future wife that he's coming home. Because I read this first and went, oh, he's not mentioning Margaret? Like, this is the one he wants at the train station? And he's just like,
Yeah,
I wanted to be absolutely sure. So that's on track?
I would categorize him as superstitious, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, knock on wood and
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's stuff. Well,
That's where I get it.
I guess we knew that from the letters because didn't he talk about he would get those $2, and he was like, you need to keep sending those to me. Like Frank would send those $2.
I mean, and I don't
And he
know-
was like, "This is
Oh,
my,
yeah.
you can't stop now.
It's
This
charm.
is
Mhm.
this is good luck charm or whatever."
Yeah.
That's so funny. But yeah, I can just picture he didn't want to tell her yet. He's
Yeah.
waiting. He's waiting.
Yeah.
Well, 2 days later, on July 17th, Bruce sends a V-mail to his parents again, and he's actually heading home this time, in his own words.
Dear Mother and Dad, I'm writing from this camp where I'm waiting for a boat back home, I hope. Nothing is definite in the Army, but to the best of my knowledge, that's where I'm going. Gosh, what a time we're going to have if I do come home to you. I don't dare let myself think about it, or I'll have trouble getting to sleep at night. Oh well, time will tell, but it might be a good idea to get out the recipes for lemon pie or chocolate cake. You didn't receive any $100 from me this month to supplement my allotment because I was moving out, and that always takes a little extra. I want to tell you as you wouldn't think it was lost. Incidentally, all my mail will come home to you so that you can save it for me. You might also get my suntan pants and my blouse pressed. I sure hope nothing happens to my making it now. There's not much to say now. I'm doing nothing but sleeping all day and just getting up to eat. A few days ago I went to the Blackpool, British Coney Island, and had quite a lot of fun. I'll save my further news for my personal appearance tour. I hope. So long now, and God bless you. Your loving son, Bruce.
So he's getting ready to get on a boat to cross the ocean to go to the U.S., and he's still not 100% sure that he's coming home.
No,
or like he's really,
Something could happen to the
really
boat.
trying not to jinx it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's just like, we're not there yet. Not there yet. I mean, I just read this as someone who just really doesn't want to get his hopes up, but yeah.
I think he's had so many.
Too.
Maybe haven't thought about all the close calls, but for goodness sakes, for us that have been reading these letters, there certainly were a lot of close calls.
Yeah.
It seems like,
For sure.
lucky that he made it back and all these different missions. And then it's like, wouldn't you know, something like this would be like,
And there's still German submarines
oh, sure.
prowling the oceans. And,
Sure.
And,
True.
I mean,
Yeah.
it could.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
could.
that's
it
true.
could.
It'd be crazy if you go on 38
Yeah.
missions over Europe and D-Day and everything,
And then a sub takes you out.
and on the boat on
Yeah,
the way home.
exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he's really
There's
trying
almost
to-
another whole year of the war left. Yeah.
I know, yes. Yeah, we're not done, that's for sure. Well, we also, on a lighter note, have some of Bruce's pictures from Blackpool. This must be like it says British Coney Island, so it must have been like a little, I don't know, like the Ferris
Amusement
wheel,
park?
amusement park. That's the word I'm trying to think of, like a little
Yeah,
place, because there's some,
I was wondering what those picture, Blackpool, what was it?
I
I
didn't.
thought it was in the United States, but now I find out it's over in
Right
England.
before he came back. So yeah, he got his like silhouette picture taken or something, and he's got some cute like photo booth pictures. So we'll post some of those. It looks like he did have fun. That's it for us today, and that's it from Bruce from the UK. So our next episode, we will be
He's stateside, huh?
stateside. Yeah, I definitely want to shout out the 306 Bomb Group website again. I shout out every week, but we wouldn't have any of this information without that website. I don't even know how to get it. And I also want to shout out the 306 Bombardment Museum in Thurley, of course. Both places were extremely helpful. I could always message the Bombardment Museum on Instagram, and they would tell me, oh, we think this is this, or we think this is that. So they've been very, very helpful. And yeah, it's just none of this stuff we would even know if people weren't trying to kind of capture that history and then keep it going. So the 306 Bomb Group still has reunions. For like people who are still living part of it and their family members, and hopefully maybe we can get out to one soon. And we want to be visiting the Bombardment Museum at some point. We'll get out to Thurley.
I love that.
We have to, yeah. We'll get you guys on a plane too. But next week,
It's on my list.
It's on your list.
Way down at the bottom.
Oh, stop. Yes. That's nothing against you, 306 Bombardment Museum. My dad doesn't go anywhere. But next week, wedding bells.
All right.
Bruce and Margaret. And we're also getting very close to the end of 1944. So our letters kind of finish up in that year. But thank you for listening to Letters Home. We hope you continue to listen as we go through Bruce's story. You can listen to Letters Home on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the Lowell Historical Museum website and YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday. The Lowell Historical Museum has digitized versions of Bruce's letters so you can read them in full, along with primary sources for most of the people, places, and events we've talked about here today, plus more. You can also follow the Lowell Historical Museum on Facebook and the Letters Home podcast on Instagram at Letters Home Lowell. Thank you to Roger McNaughton for our podcast music and to Lowell Radio for letting us record in their studio at Lowell High School every week. Stream it at lowellradio.org. And to the fabulous Al Ekman for
Shout
keeping
out.
the studio up for us. See you next time.